Debbie, thank you so much for joining me today for the League of Goddesses Spotlight interview. I am so excited to spend a little bit of time getting to know you better and then having the opportunity to introduce you to the women of the League. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me, Alicia. I'm really excited about this.
Oh, me too. I love these interviews. I feel like I usually do them during the day, and so it's like I'm playing hooky. I'm like, oh, yay, I get to play a little bit. So thank you again. The way that this is going to work is we have a couple questions at the beginning that are just super fun and easy, and then as we continue down the list, they get a little bit more in-depth and personal. So my first question is going to be, do you have any nicknames?
No, I really don't. When I was born with the name Deborah, and when I was 18, I had it legally changed because it was just too formal for me. I didn't like it, and it was only my when you get in trouble name.
Oh.
And so I changed it to Debbie, and it's been my official name ever since. So sometimes people shorten it to Deb. Other than that, no nicknames.
That is awesome. I don't think I've ever known an adult who changed their first name, but that's super cool. You were just like, that's not me.
Like, no.
Yeah. Well, I do think you are a Debbie, so I love it. Okay. And when is your birthday? Just the month and day would be perfect.
Yeah. September 23rd.
Lovely. My son is the 24th. September is a good month.
It is.
I feel like it's always a very busy month. So I guess January was lots of fun because there's so many September birthdays.
Or they were snowed in and there was nothing else to do.
There's nothing else to do. Either way, both of those are fun. Okay. What is your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. Is there a certain type?
Well, teal is probably my favorite, but it's hard for me because I just like all shades of blue.
Beautiful. Okay. And then are you a coffee girl or a tea girl?
Tea, all the way tea. But
what's your favorite?
Odd thing, Starbucks chai tea lattes. That's my go-to. And I'm picky about my chai. I don't like all chais. I just like certain ones. But theirs is what I got started on, and
you just love
never looked back. Yes. I used to get Starbucks every morning when I was working in corporate America. And one of the people at the office one time tried to be really nice and they saw me with a Starbucks cup. So they brought me a venti coffee. And I was like, thank you so much. Who could I give this to?
I appreciate that. I love both. I am a coffee girl, but I do love both. And chai is one of my favorites. And you know what I had for the first time about 2 weeks ago now? A dirty chai. And if you're not a coffee girl, you probably wouldn't care, but have you known about those forever?
Yeah. Like, my niece got into them and she was like, oh, you got to try these. And I'm like, yeah, coffee. Yeah. I love the smell of coffee when it's brewing. I love being in a coffee shop and smelling that. But the taste does not live up to the smell for me. So that's why I'm a tea person.
Well, I mean, tea is beautiful. Do you have a certain brand that you like?
Tazo.
Yeah.
Tazo.
Nice. Yeah, that's nice. Tea is such a unique, like when people say they're coffee, they'll almost drink all coffees, right? But tea is usually more specific. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. So now this question is probably one of my favorites, although I like most of them. But are you a book girl, podcast, or blog? If you could only have one.
Book. All the way, 100%. I like all three, but book.
Book is the thing. Okay. So since you said that.
And that's what I stick with.
Yeah, I'm totally a book girl right there with you. But since you said it, now I have to ask you, do you like the way books smell? Do you smell?
Yes. Who doesn't? And I have to have I'll admit, I do have a Kindle because it's convenient for traveling because I read voraciously. I read so quickly. I'm usually done with a book in 2 days. Wow. And I had a reading goal on Goodreads of reading 90 books this year, and wow. I'm already at that.
You did? So, wow.
So the Kindle's very practical, right? To be able to I couldn't carry 90 books around with me. And so it's really nice to have that, but I have real books all over my house, and I still prefer when I get a book that I really, really like and want to get into, just sitting down with the real book and my chai tea.
Yes. Do you highlight inside your books or mark in them?
Yes, especially business books or personal improvement books. I want to be able to, and those I don't even get on the Kindle because I want to be able to put tabs all through them and go back to things and read over again what I really liked and highlight passages. Absolutely.
Oh, that is exactly how I am. The books are destroyed. It's just like, oh, there's
They can't be resold after I'm
no. It's like color coding and I use paper clips too. Do you do that? Like for seriously like good stuff, you paper clip it because I'm like, I know I don't want to share that, and it's just easier to find. Okay, I love it. I want to make a candle that smells like old books. Because I've had so many people say they smell books because I asked this question now. I used to think I was a weirdo, but at least I'm not a weirdo in that regard. I'm like, there's
well, you can market the candle, right?
I know, like, look at this, everyone loves it. But I'm wondering, like, what is the real scent that we're all looking for? I call it the scent of wisdom. I'm like, that is what I've now named it.
I love that. So you can name the candle Wisdom and go from there.
Yeah. Okay, so now that I know that you're such a voracious reader, this question's going to be even better. What is your favorite book of all time? Like if you were getting shipped off to a deserted island, you could only take one.
Outlander.
Outlander. I haven't read it. Who's it by?
Oh, Diana Gabaldon.
Okay.
And she wrote the first one, and it's going to be 10 books total in the series. And these are some big books.
Okay.
But she's only written, we're waiting for number 9 to come out now. No, 8 to come out now. So she's got 2 more after that. But, and there's a whole community because they've also made it into movies, a series. But she wrote the first one in 1991, and it was the year I had my twin daughters. And after I'd had them, we left them with the grandparents when they were 6 months old and went on a Caribbean vacation on a sailboat. And I already told you I read really quickly. So I'm like, what can I take with me that's not very big? Because there were a bunch of us on this 50-foot sailboat that I can read while I'm on the trip. And so I found her paperback and it was this thick. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect. And I almost had to be drug away to spend time in the Caribbean sun and in the ocean and enjoying the vacation because I got so into the book. I've recommended it to so many people. My daughters are both now really into it as well. And so it's just, my favorite of all times. If I can only have one book, that's it.
That would be it. Okay, I'm going to have to get that book because I love hearing people's recommendations. But coming from someone who's read 90 books in a year, I feel like your recommendation is probably pretty high up there.
Thank you. I wanted her to get the other book out, and she finished writing it late last year. And so we're just waiting. The whole fan community are just waiting for it to be published.
Wow. And I don't even know if you would know the answer to this or not, but like, did she know from the beginning there would be 10 books?
She said in an interview that she didn't know for sure there would be, but at some point she's like, okay, I can see the rest of the path forward. Like I know what's going to happen in books 8, 9, and 10. And I'm like, nothing better happen to you before you finish those because
that's what I was just thinking.
You'll be left hanging.
Right. And then also, what a brilliant mind to be able to think of that much content times 10. I'm just like, oh my.
Another thing I love about her is she studied as a scientist and then dumped that and became an author. And it's total fantasy fiction. So, but she brings her scientific mind to it and the details and all the stuff that's going on. So you can just fall into it and just be there in that different world.
Wow. Oh, that sounds so intriguing. So I'm going to have to go read that one and maybe all the other 8 that are hopefully that are
7.
out.
Yeah. Maybe by the time you get to 7, she'll have 8 published. And then
8. That's what we're waiting on. Yes.
We're waiting on 8.
That would be awesome. Okay. So now that we know your all-time favorite, what is the book, and I know you have some to pick from, that you are currently most enthralled with?
This one is a business book rather than a fiction book. And I read all over this, lots of different genres, but this one's very relevant to me right now. And it's got tabs all over it, Alicia, like everywhere. And it's called Women Rising. And it's by Sally Helgeson and Marshall Goldsmith. And where this book came from was, you might remember Marshall Goldsmith published a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There.
Yes.
And it was about, corporate America and what we learn and train for up to gets us to a certain point, but then they want different things if you're going to rise higher in the organization. And then he and Sally were partnering together and talking, and they had this thought that, wait, is this different for the different genders? So is what I'm saying in this book different? And so they went out and did a study, and they found out
it is
very different.
Yes.
I mean, there's some things that are the same, but very few. And because women entered the workforce, the corporate workforce, a lot later. And so a lot of things have developed over time. And what they go through in here are the 12 habits that most women have that keep them from rising as high as they could or should be.
Okay. That book sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. And I wish I had gotten turned on to this book or introduced to this book the day they wrote it and published it earlier in my career, because I definitely committed a lot of those habits, and it could have maybe helped me. I was very successful. I have no complaints, but I could have been more successful, I think, if I'd have known what was causing things to get in my way, getting in my own way because of the habits. So, and I use that now in both my coaching practice and in our leadership program that my partner and I started to help women understand where they might be doing some things that are getting in their way.
Yeah, that is phenomenal, because my husband and I have so many times talked about that. Like, what is it truly that sets apart the female from the male in the business world? Because there's so many things that are different about us, but what are those things that hold you back, and what are the things that accelerate you and push you forward? So of course I have my own ideas, but I am very, very excited to learn what they have to say. And also because if that's in there, what a beautiful gift to be able to give someone who wants to know, right?
Absolutely. I've given it out to a lot of people already. It's amazing. And what the number one thing I hear back after I've shared this book with people or even given it to them is, oh my goodness, I do all of those. Oh. And it's like, yeah, I think we all probably have at one point or another. And it's about selecting the one or two you want to work on at a time, because you can't
do it all.
Fix all of them. Yeah.
I think so many times what I noticed in my history was that it wasn't men holding me back. Men have been some of my biggest supporters. So what I realized is if I was being held back, usually it was my personal growth that was holding me back. So if I would focus on that and figure out what areas of myself personally needed to be sharpened, then my business would then increase because of it. And so that's kind of what I realized. But I think lots of times it isn't what it appears. It appears that it's someone else, and it appears that it's always outside, but really much more of it is under your control than you realize.
Absolutely. And they're blind spots. They're true blind spots. We don't even know we're doing it.
That's awesome. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Oh, thank you for sharing that book. I love hearing about people's favorite books, and especially from someone who reads as much as you do. I am lucky if I get like one or two done a month, and I would love to increase that, but I am not reading 90 a year. Someday, that's a goal. That's a great goal. Okay, so now this actually is a great introduction to our next question, which is, what is the name of your business, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, and actually I have two.
Okay.
So I have a personal coaching practice that I deal with executives and leaders at all levels. And that is called Debbie Collard, Executive Coaching and Leadership Development. And I started that a few years ago. I had a corporate career for over 30 years, and I retired from that. My husband likes to say, I thought you were retired, but I was like, I did retire from that. And then I moved on to what I really wanted to do, which was helping other people, other leaders succeed and be better leaders. So that's my private coaching practice that I have. And then a colleague that I had worked with in my corporate career, we had worked together. She saw that I was on LinkedIn with my coaching practice, and she said, oh my goodness, I'm a coach too. And we hadn't been in touch in 3 years, I would say. And she said, we ought to get together and see if there's something we could do to work together. How cool would that be? And so we did. And in a 3-day session, pretty much, we created what we call Seasons Leadership Program. And it's a leadership development program for women. Because we said, hey, if we had known earlier in our career what we know now, and we're still learning, right? We're all works in progress. But if we had known that earlier, what more might we have accomplished? And we both believe in helping other people succeed, and especially women, because we feel like that they don't necessarily get the same chances because we're just behind in the whole timing of all of it. You know, things men have been enjoying for
millennia.
Decades, millennia. We haven't, right? So we're catching up. And so we said, we want to give back and we want to help other women succeed. So we created the Seasons Leadership Program. It's called Seasons because we aligned it with the 4 seasons of nature. And so we do 1 session a quarter, and it's spring, summer, fall, winter, and they learn different things in those. And what's unique about that business, other than focused on women, because there are a lot of women programs out there focused on women right now, but what's different for us is the practical business skills as well as the one-on-one coaching. So they can apply something right away and say, hey, in my situation, here's what's going on. And we create a community of women, which is why I like this idea of Goddesses so much, right? We create a community of women who are helping each other succeed and can be each other's accountability partners and each other's helpmates. And so we launched that in 2020. Of course, it was going to be in person. And the first session was, and then COVID, of course, hit. So we went online after that, all virtual. And 2021, which we're signing people up for now, is also going to be all virtual. But we got great feedback the first year. So we said, oh, well, let's do it again.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That's beautiful. And what a unique gift to be able to give the world. Because you're right. It's not that I don't think women understand or know how to do these things. It's just we haven't been doing it as long. So the skills have been honed in the opposite sex, and now it's our turn. It's like,
right,
okay,
exactly.
And the best way to do it is to stand on the shoulders of giants. So I think that it's phenomenal that you guys are willing to put that out there and do it. And I'm not surprised that you got amazing feedback, because that's what we need, right? And women usually want to get things done efficiently. I've come to notice. I'm just like, we all have so much going on. We're like, hey, what's the most efficient way to accomplish this? So sharing our knowledge is phenomenal.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that you're doing that. Tell me this next question, it might tie into what you do, but what is your bliss? What is the thing that makes you most happy?
Really, it's helping people find and live their best lives. A lot of us, just like we haven't been doing these things as long as men have, we've also had to traditionally juggle lots of things if we wanted to have a career, because we have the traditional roles. Now, there are exceptions that prove every rule, but right, the majority of people. And we had to juggle lots of things and figure it out. And oftentimes we find ourselves as caregivers, and we find ourselves taking care of everybody else before ourselves. And so a lot of the work ends up being helping people slow down and get in touch with who's inside you. What is your bliss? What do you want to do? What do you want to do with this life you've been given? That's so amazing. And then helping them know it's okay to focus on themselves and then go live those opportunities. The only thing holding them back is them.
Yeah, that's so true. And I feel like you're so right and perceptive. It's that we're taking care of everyone else first, and we forget that, hey, we're here to experience too, right? And what is it that we want to experience? And that's each of our own creation that we have to take responsibility for and enjoy. It can be a lot of fun, right? If you're really thoughtful about it. That's beautiful. I'm glad that you enjoy that. And I feel like it ties into your business too. You've kind of been able to push those things together, which is beautiful. Okay, I'm going to pivot a little bit and ask you some questions about the League. So can you tell me, why did you join the League of Goddesses?
Well, you might remember I asked you lots of questions when you invited me to join. And the reason that I did that was because, well, first of all, I love the name. So the name caught me right away. I love the name. But I want to be involved in things where it's powerful and it's women helping other women succeed. And, all too often I think we're out there competing and we don't have an abundance mentality of all that's out there for us to grasp and helping each other get it and helping each other thrive. And so the reason I joined was you answered the questions in a way that was, this community is all about that, helping each other. And so I said, yeah, awesome.
Let's check it out.
It's aligned with my values. Let's do it.
Yes. No, that is very, very, a lot of foresight for you to ask those questions and then see, do they align with your values? Because it's important for us as well that the women that come in align with the league's values, because it is so much. I think that a lot of the competition that we see and what you were noticing and talking about comes from, eons of women having to compete to get the best man. The only way that they could solidify their life was finding the best mate. And so I think that really a lot of the competition and the competitive desires and feelings that we have are unconscious, and we don't even realize why we feel those feelings. And then it's just a mental switch that we have to make, that, oh yeah, I don't have to be competitive with her. Her being amazing doesn't make me any less amazing. And so when we realize that and we can link up, we get much further faster. And so that is the whole point of the league. And I feel like the women in there, I'm constantly amazed by what they're willing to give and share and how helpful they are to each other. And even to me, like I'll even post up in there. I'm like, all right, I'm having a hard time with this. What do you guys think? Because sometimes it's just perspective. It's like, you know what, we get rolled over and we're all working so hard. And sometimes the answer is right here. You just needed somebody to shine a light for you and give you a friendly reminder. So I'm glad that you were able to see that and it aligned well for you. So
thank you for creating it.
Oh, thank you. I feel like it's still a baby. I'm like, oh, the league is still a baby. And I always want things, done 10 years ago before I even said I needed them done. So I'm like, oh, it should be moving faster. And it's like, it's moving perfect. We'll just let it continue to grow. And I also like that it's grown very naturally. It's like people tell their friends about it. And that's kind of how we have let it be. Just, I guess you could call it, what is that, grassroots? Just let it do its thing and we'll see where it ends up. But so far it's been a lot of fun. So thank you for being there.
Yes.
My next question is, what is it that you wish to contribute to the league, or what are your gifts that you'd like to share?
Coaching, certainly, for anybody who's interested in that, but it's really for me around connection and networking and support and fellowship and just being with others that are like-minded.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And then what is it that you would wish to contribute, if you could contribute? I'm sorry, my first question I meant to ask you, and now I think maybe I switched them, was what is it that you hope to gain from the league? So,
well, the answer is the same to both, so it doesn't matter which one, right? Because I want to give and receive all those things I mentioned, right? So I'm willing to give back to everybody in the league and would ask the same of them, acceptance and connection and fellowship and networking. And, when someone reaches out, to be willing to be there for them and answer.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of it. It's the league is only as strong as the members that are in it. And it takes time to build connections and friendships. And it's very intriguing for me to watch that, because I know even for myself, lots of times the days go by and you feel like you've only blinked. And so that's something that I definitely hoped to create, was an easy place for people to be able to connect and then also give back, because I love to give, and it's like, but it has to be efficient. And so the league is kind of, I think, a good place to plug in very quickly, because you know what the women are there for. So I hope that you can find what you're looking for in both an outlet and receiving.
Thank you.
Okay, so my next question would be, who is important in your life?
my family and my friends.
Nice.
Those are the number one spots. It's being able to spend time with them. And that's been particularly hard this year, of course, for everybody. So we connect on Zoom, just like for my business calls. We do family and friends calls on Zoom and try to stay connected. My nephew even got married on a Zoom call this year because their wedding got canceled because of COVID. And so they had a virtual wedding.
How was it? I haven't attended anything like that.
It was really cool. And what made it even cooler was the bride is of Indian descent, and they asked that we all wear traditional Indian attire. Well, when we were going to the wedding, that was one thing. But I said, hey, I ordered this. I'm wearing it.
Yes.
On the virtual call. So there were a lot of colorful attire on this virtual call because they had a traditional Indian ceremony as well as a Western ceremony.
Oh, how beautiful. I love it. That is awesome. I feel like that would be so much fun. We kind of did that on for the league one night. We were just like, ladies, just dress up because we just want to have fun. It's like, okay, we have all of these beautiful dresses and they haven't gotten to see the light of day.
Yes, exactly.
I'm glad that y'all wore it. How cool. Okay, so this next question you can take two ways. The question is, what dream have you made come true? So it could be a personal dream or maybe a dream that you helped someone else with.
Okay. I would say for personal, many. I've been so blessed. I've had a great life so far, and I don't see it ending anytime soon on achieving things I want to achieve. And so I feel really good about all those things. But most recently, I would say my dream of becoming an executive coach. When I was in corporate America, I had great jobs and I loved working there. And I had different jobs all the time and got to have a really wide breadth of experience that I really enjoyed. But I didn't select that career, if you know what I mean. It kind of selected me because I had certain goals I had to meet, making a living, raising my family, etc. So when I got the opportunity after 30 years and retired from that life, I said, what do I want to do? And I gave myself a year to think about it and figure it out. And then I said, I really want to make a positive difference. And I want to use all the things I've learned. And so I want to become an executive coach. So I sought out a program that was certified by the International Coach Federation and went and got my certification and never looked back. And it's been so rewarding. I can't even tell you, because I get to help people make their dreams come true every single day.
Wow. That's beautiful. I'm so glad that you did that. And I think that it's even more phenomenal that you had a 30-year career that you were successful at and loved. Because a lot of people have them and they're like, oh, I didn't like it. But because you feel so positive about it, you bring so much good to the coaching side. So what a unique scenario. I think that's very valuable. Wonderful. Okay, so this next question is, what does your heart most desire at this time? If I could grant you a wish, what would it be?
I'm kind of doing it. So save the wish for somebody who really needs it, because I'm kind of living what my heart desires, which is to live authentically and in resonance with my values.
Mm.
So I'll give you an example of that, maybe to help illustrate it. When I was in corporate America, one thing I did not enjoy in those 30 years was getting up at 4:30 in the morning and having to commute to work. And somehow I always wanted one of those virtual jobs or the half-hour commutes. So I never got those. I got the 2+ hour commutes and things like that. And I said, when I retire, I am never getting up at 4:30 in the morning unless I'm getting on a plane to Jamaica or something. But otherwise, I'm not getting up that early. So I also said, I want to be in charge of my own schedule and my own work, meaning I'll work with who I want to work with, and I'll decide who I want to work with. If it's people who don't share my values, or they don't have to necessarily share my values, but they have to not be in conflict with them. I don't want to work with mean people, for example, or I don't want to work with people who don't want to work on themselves and get better. So what I like about all this is I'm making the choices. If things go badly, well, I have no one to blame but me. But if things go great, which they generally do, because I'm a pretty positive person, you can probably tell. It's wonderful because I've gotten to decide what that was going to look like and how many hours I want to work. And it's almost not like working. I know people say that. They say, well, if you love what you do, then it's not work. Well, it's really not like working because I'm just into it and passionate about it. And yet I can say, okay, it's time to stop right now on this and go play with the puppies or go walk outside or go swim in the pool. Not right now because the weather's not conducive. But anyway, but I can make my own choices and do whatever my heart desires at that moment. And I'm blessed that I can do that.
That's pretty lovely. I'm like, that is a pretty lovely life. So I see why you save your wish for someone else. And I think it's very kind. Okay, so this question, I always love it. If you were not Debbie and you were talking about Debbie to someone else, how would you describe her?
I would say an accomplished, strong, creative, funny, high energy leader.
Beautiful. I think that from what I know describes you well. So I like it. Nice. Okay. Now tell me and this question, we're going to get into some pretty deep ones, at least from my point of view. So if you need a moment, please feel free to take it at any point. What vision do you have for the future of humanity?
Wow, that's a big one. That's like, beauty pageant where they say,
I know.
World peace. No, world peace would be lovely. But really, I would say my answer is that everyone's living their purpose. I believe we all have a purpose. And many people never even find out what that is or don't even care to find out what it is. And I would like it that everybody is living to their purpose and working towards or contributing to a better world. Because Lord knows there are lots of things that could be improved in this world, in this country and in this world. And if we all work together and quit fighting with each other about it and say, okay, I'm here and I'm good at this. You're here and you're good at that. Why don't we put those together and make something wonderful?
That's beautiful. Yes, I agree with you. I think this year has been very eye-opening for a lot of people because like you said, sometimes I don't even think that they know that there's more. I know there was a point in my life where I didn't know there was more. I thought that you just white picket fence, house, kids, marriage, done, that was all there was. And then it was like, well, what do you do with the next 80 years? And then I realized I knew absolutely nothing. And then the not knowing absolutely nothing lasted at least a decade. And then I realized I knew even less than I thought I knew that I gained in a decade. So it's been it's really inspiring life.
And that was the point when you were turning the corner, right?
I guess.
And you realized what you didn't know, and you're like, okay, now I'm open to learning. And so,
and then you learn that you knew even less than you thought you knew. And to me, though, that is so much fun because I'm like, we have the rest of our lives to grow. And it's beautiful. And the person that I was 6 months ago is not who I am now. And I love it. And so I think that sometimes you just have to give people a little bit of space and hold a spot for them and be like, hey, it's here if you want it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
2020 has definitely been one of those space holders, I feel like, for a lot of people, which is beautiful.
Yes.
Giving them the room to kind of breathe and reevaluate and grow if they want to. So
you didn't you only gave me one book to say what my favorite one is right now, but there's a runner-up.
Well, I'll write it down.
It's called The Time Between Dreams.
Ooh.
And it's what you're just describing, right? All of us go through cycles and we don't go through them at the same speed or rate or times in our life, or we could go through a lot of microcycles, but it's about taking that space of that one decade you described, right? Taking that space and giving people the space to just be. And we don't have to be do all the time. We can just be and figure out what the next cycle is going to be for us.
You mean we could be human beings?
Yes. How cool would that be?
I know. My husband was literally just talking to me about that. I can't remember now if it was last night or this morning. And he was like, we need to take more time to just be, Alicia. And I was like, oh my God, you're so right. Because I like to do, and I think doing is addicting, right? The accomplishment and it feels good. And so it's like, oh, sometimes you just have to enjoy and be thankful for the experience of that moment, that present one.
And sometimes it's hardest for the people who love doing.
Oh, yes. Like I said, I think it's an addiction. It's like, I take the coffee, just let me finish what I'm doing. Yes, I realize that a lot about myself when somebody interrupts me. And my initial reaction inside is to like get twisted about it. I don't want to be interrupted. I want to finish what I'm doing. And I'm like, wow, that's a little much there. It's not going. Okay.
I had a client who said that they think that they are a serial box checker. And I go, well, what does that mean? Explain more to me. And they said, well, sometimes I write things down after I've already done them just so I can check off the box that says I did them.
Wow. Wow.
Needless to say, we were working on being.
Yes, I can only imagine. Yeah, no, for me, a lot of times it feels like, and I don't know how much, you know my back history, but we own 5 companies. So it's like, it always feels like there's a freight train behind me. And I'm like, well, run faster. And then it's just like, Alicia, all you have to do is tell the train to stop, you're running it, right? But it's like you forget. And if you enjoy the accomplishment of it, I think it's addicting. It's just like, okay,
yes.
It feels good. It's like I'm accomplishing, I'm moving forward. I enjoy that. But you don't want to, I feel like, turn around, in 80 years and be like, oh, I did a lot of things that I didn't just enjoy, right? So there's this balance. I haven't found it yet, but I'm still searching. I'm sure it's in one of these books. I'm gonna find it. Okay, so that was a beautiful answer, and I loved it. And this question piggybacks off of it. Does your vision of humanity affect your decision-making processes?
I would say yes. It affects my decision-making processes. I'm a work in progress. We're all works in progress, right? And I don't ever want to stop learning. And so when I'm deciding about something important to me, how I'm going to spend my time, how I'm going to invest my money, how I'm going to, what I'm planning to help others out with, what I'm going to leave on this earth when I leave, all of those decisions and a bunch of other small ones underneath, because we make probably, 7,000 decisions a day and not even realize it. But the things that really matter, the big decisions that I'm spending time on, I do stop to think, by doing this, what am I not doing? What am I not leaving time for? By doing this, what message am I putting out there? What are people going to see about me by making this decision? And so absolutely it guides them. And that's all gets back to my values, right? And everything's based on living to my values and my vision. And I try to line up all my decisions like that. I would love to tell you that I've never had an issue with that and I do it perfectly every time. And that's absolutely not true. I'm a work in progress. I sometimes have to go, whoa, back it up a minute. Maybe I want to change my mind on that one because it wasn't really aligned with my values. Yeah. And usually I feel that in here somewhere. It's like, oh, that didn't really feel right. I made that decision, and I'm very decisive. I'm a very efficient decision maker, but then sometimes I have to back it up and go, wait, is this who you want to be in the world?
Oh, I like that.
And is it contributing to that vision for the world? And if it isn't, then let's redo it.
Evaluate. Beautiful. Because I'm very similar to that. I make my decisions very quickly as well. And so I've had to learn. So I make the decisions quickly. And then I also care very much that my word is kept because I feel like all you have is your word, right?
Absolutely.
And so to go back on a decision is very hard for me. So I'm learning how to maybe take a little bit more time to just check those few extra things. Like, does this align with my core values and the way that I want to do it? Normally it's a very quick yes, but every once in a while, like you said, you get that little feeling and you're like, oh shit, I have to revisit that. But I think it can be done gracefully, right?
Absolutely, it can. And people appreciate when you're authentic.
Yeah.
When you come back and say, ooh, I should have gone a little too much. And so I want to keep this commitment I made to you, but we're going to have to adjust it for me to do that. Or I can do it, but not now, not when I said I could. So can we renegotiate when I'll do this? Or, there's lots of different ways to, as you said, graciously do it. But people really appreciate when you're being authentic with them and not just glossing over it. And yeah. Sorry, I didn't make it on time.
Yep.
Something came up. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. Beautiful. Okay. So my last question in regards to this vision is, how have you implemented actions into your business to help create this vision for the world?
Okay. Well, two businesses. So two ways. When I initially created my private coaching practice, which I did first, it was around, I saw a lot of leaders. I worked with a lot of leaders in corporate America, and I was a leader and an executive when I retired. I worked with lots of high-level executives, C-suite, and I saw ones that were really good, ones that thought they were good but weren't, ones that didn't think they were good but were. I mean, all over the map, right? And I often coached them, but I didn't have the formal training at that time. And one of the things that they said they really appreciated about me, almost unanimously, was that I was real, that I didn't, kiss up or try to get something from them. I was just telling them what I thought might help or how things could be better or giving my opinion. And they said that they always knew to ask me if they wanted to know something for real and not the answer they thought I thought that they wanted to hear. And so aligning my business, my coaching practice about making this positive difference was everybody has the potential to be a great leader. We're all leaders, whether we want to be or not. Even if you hadn't started 5 companies, you're still a leader. You're a leader to people around you, your friends, your family. And the definition of a leader is that you can compel people to do something they wouldn't have otherwise done because you are who you are, right? So that makes us all leaders. Someone is looking up to everybody, right? And so it's incumbent upon us to be good leaders if we want to be. And I wanted to really change the proportions on good leadership out there. So I want to work with people who want to work on themselves, want to, the word coaching came from the word stagecoach, taking somebody from one place to another.
I didn't know that, but I love it.
So coaching, executive coaching, taking business leaders from where they are to where they want to be and helping them avoid the mud puddles, the potholes, the overturned carriages, the whatever was getting in their way, roadblocks, so that they can, seen or unseen, so that they can overcome those and achieve what they want to achieve, and helping them become better leaders. So that's how I incorporated it into my coaching practice. And I decided I wasn't going to work with just anybody. And I didn't want to work with the people, and you see this a lot in corporate America, unfortunately, the people who were told they need a coach. Oh, let's get this person coached up so they can be a better leader. Well, why did you put them in the leadership position in the first place if you didn't think they were a good leader? Don't put them in there and then try to coach them up. And then the people get resentful and they don't want to coach. So I said, nope, I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with people who say, I believe I can be better than I am today, and I need a partner to help me get there. So that's how I incorporated it into my business. Then when my partner Susan and I started Seasons, we said, hey, we want to work with women and help them with all the things that we've learned that they may not have been exposed to, and help them earlier in their careers be able to take advantage of that kind of knowledge and learning and a community of supportive women around them, and just help them rise, right? And so we put that into play in our business about the type of people that we want to work with in the business as well. And we had a strategic planning session when we created the program, and we said, let's start this way. What's our vision for this program? What are our values? And we decided on the ones that we shared that we were going to make part of the program. And what is our mission? And we defined all of this in our strategic plan, because how can we teach others and help them become better leaders if we're not willing to follow the practices ourselves?
So true.
So kind of a long answer with two businesses, but that's the way it's incorporated in each.
It's great. I'm like, I listen to it. I'm like, that sounds wonderful. And what a great way to go about it for both types. I feel like you hit the nail on the head with the coaching. Whenever the way that it works for me anyway, is that I see an area where I need improvement. And because I love to grow and I like to do it efficiently, I look for the best coach that I can possibly find. And I'm willing to pay. I don't care, because I know that I want to move at light speed, and I know that I need someone to help me do it. It's just like, I can figure this out on my own. I can read 15 more books and wade through it, or I can find someone that knows what they're doing and then learn everything that they're willing to teach me and move forward that way. So I think that it's very wise of you to pick who you coach, because I could see how it would be unfulfilling to try to coach somebody who didn't really want it, like, this is kind of forced on me. Whereas if you're coaching someone like me, I'm just like, oh my God, what else? And I'll do it all. Everything you tell me, I'm going to do it, because that's why I've sought that person out, because I admire what they've done. So what a beautiful.
Right. It's an investment. And the coach should be a mirror for you, yes. Right? Reflecting back your best self, and also helping you see your blind spots.
Yes.
Because we all have them.
Yes. I think that's probably the largest form of love, is someone that will hold a mirror for you. Because sometimes it's not nice. It's just like, you don't know how that person's going to react to seeing that, but if you truly love them, you will. So, and you don't have to really say anything, is what I found to be most intriguing. And I feel like my husband's a great mirror holder. Like, oh man. And, sometimes I hate it. I'm like, damn it. But he's right. And I know that I've grown tremendously since I met him. He's also my best friend, but he's never going to let me, like, if I say I want to do it and I'm letting myself, give myself some slack, he won't. He's like, oh, well, that's not what you said, but sure. And I'm like, damn it.
Accountability partner. That's an important thing.
And I feel very thankful for that. But I also see a lot of similarities in my coaches, because they are the same, and that's how we grow. And it's so amazing that we all have. If you think back, 50 years ago, people didn't have access to this, right? No. Where women like you were like, hey, I've been there, done that, and I'm willing to share. I would only have access to you maybe if you were my neighbor, like maybe if you were my neighbor and you knew my sister or something. But now we can just Google, and networks like we have, we're so blessed. It's really lovely. Absolutely.
And I was blessed to get a coach when I was in corporate America. And it was so interesting to me, because I had a really good friend who was running that part of the company. And she said to me, she goes, hey, we're going to switch up how we do coaching. And it's going to be about taking the high performers and seeing if we can even accelerate their growth more with coaches, rather than taking the non-performers and trying to fix them.
Oh my gosh.
And she says, would you want to be part of the guinea pig? And I said, well, program. And I go, yeah. I said, well, first of all, thank you for saying I'm already a high performer. And she goes, well, you are. And I said, yeah, but usually we don't get those kind of opportunities, as you pointed out, right? And she said, yeah, so you can find a coach and work with him or her, and we'll use this as part of the pilot program. And I was like, okay, that's great. And I got to meet the most wonderful coach. So, and that's how I found out I wanted to be a coach, was to get to see someone who's a master coach, and the change that I felt for myself. Wow. in what was going on. And that was a true achievement of a dream.
Wow. What a cool company. Now I want to know, who did you work for?
Boeing.
Oh, well, go figure. Oh my God, smart people. Because that's so true. It's like I'm not going to work on someone's 1s, 2s, and 3s. You don't polish those. You polish their 8s, 9s, and 10s. It's like the 1s, 2s, and 3s, you find someone else to do it. So yeah, we have to work in our gifts, and then yes, especially if someone was doing an amazing job, of course, help them be better. So they're very intriguing, and definitely something to think about when you're, helping your staff and cultivating them. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I've got one last question,
okay.
And it is, and then I'll let you go because I have definitely been very intrigued by you and talking your ear off. Thank you for the time. My last question is, if you could share one piece of advice or a tip that someone gave you that just changed your perspective and maybe rocked your world, what would that be?
Yeah. So I told you before that I didn't choose the corporate career that I had. It kind of chose me because of life circumstances, right? But I had a boss early on that said he was going to share with me a piece of advice he got from somebody and pass it on. And he said, always do the jobs nobody else wants to do, because there's something to be learned there. And when you do those jobs, put your whole self into it. Be all in and make it your own. Own it, make it your own, put your own mark on it, and then move on to the next thing. And I had the biggest learnings and the biggest advancements in my career by taking those jobs, by taking that advice that this guy gave me and taking those jobs that nobody else wanted to do. And it's served me well. And I've passed it on many places, including today. But it was just that, anybody can want the bright, shiny job that everybody, get all this visibility. And remember that program that was on for a while called Dirty Jobs?
Yes.
Where the guy went around and did the most horrible job. Well, there's plenty of them to go around. That show probably could have lived forever. But it's just, okay, this job needs to be done. I'll take it on. Let me see what I can do with it. I didn't love all of them. I'll tell you right now, some of them were just, but I learned something from every single one. And those jobs got me advanced quicker than I would have otherwise. And I had all this breadth of experience that people who just stayed in the same job and just climbed the ladder on one path had. Yeah. So that would be my one piece of advice.
That is amazing. And not only the experience, but the ability to take something that maybe wasn't so pleasant and turn it into something else. Like when you take on jobs like that, you have a lot of creativity available to you. So to hone and sharpen those skills is phenomenal. What a great piece of advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love hearing those things because you hear it's wisdom, and it's passed on. And really the only way you hear it is stuff like this normally. So, or a really, really good book.
Or both.
or both. Debbie, thank you again so much for your time. I've truly enjoyed getting to know you better, and I'm so excited to share this interview with the League and let the ladies get to know you better too.
Me too. And to everybody in the League, thanks for welcoming me, and I look forward to giving back.
Oh, we are just excited that you're here. All right, Debbie, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll chat with you soon.
All right. Thanks, Alicia.
Bye.
Bye.